The first stop of our journey began at Pipe Springs Monument. We met our tour guide, Evan Cram, at the Visitor Center, and then he began giving us a fantastic tour of the grounds, history, and local geology. In the distance to the right, we see Yellowstone Plateau, and for the rest of the vista, we see the important riparian prairie grasslands that were a vital part of both Native American and white settler heritage and economic production. Pipe Springs was an important place for pioneers and settlers as they journeyed from California to Salt Lake City, as it provided the only major water source in the area in a vast desert. On the trail at Pipe Springs, we were able to take an up-close look at the Kayenta sandstone at this outcrop. As we examine the outcrop up close, we're able to gather a better understanding of what happened during the deposition of the sediments. Here we see small-sized crossbed laminations, representing probably a fluvial environment, as we also have larger sand grains probably not deposited by a windblown system, but more likely by a river or a fluvial system capable of transporting larger grains with its higher levels of energy. Along the way, our guide Evan stopped to show us some dinosaur tracks. These large three-toed tracks are known as eubrontes, which means true thunder in Latin. These were most likely laid down by a large theropod dinosaur as it ate or drank from the river or lake interface where it met the shoreline. Near the dinosaur tracks, we noticed some conjugate joint sets. These were most likely formed by stress on the rocks, and as the blocks rolled to accommodate the stress and created fractures, water filled these fractures, which then precipitated minerals, most likely calcite or quartz, into the newly formed crevices. These then hardened to form what we now see as the large X patterns on the surface of the rocks.
From atop the Kayenta Formation near the dinosaur track, we can look off into the distance and see the beginnings of the Grand Staircase National Monument. The next portion of our journey took us to what is known as Lefevre Point. From here, we have a great overlook of the National Staircase Monument itself. From this point, although hazy, we can see an overview of the entire National Monument. Though, if we zoom in, we can clearly see two of the well-defined steps in this national monument. From here, we're only a few short miles from the Grand Canyon's north rim. One of the first stops was Imperial Point. From here, we are approximately 8,800 feet from sea level. We have a breathtaking view of the canyon and its majesty.
Here we see the group arriving at the Coconino Overlook, which gives us a great overview of the Surprise Canyon. Here we see an outcrop of the Coconino sandstone that has been subjected to various forms of mechanical, and some chemical weathering. Here we see an example of near-perfect parallel laminations. This being just a rock fragment does not give us the big picture of all the laminations in the area. As we can see as we look at the outcrops, these are all cross-bedded with some sort of angularity to the bedding planes. Here we see the contact of the upper member Coconino sandstone and this lower member of the Hermit shell. If we look to the left of the image, we can see that the less resistant Hermit shell is being eroded and undercutting underneath the Coconino sandstone. Here, looking across the canyon, we can see the erosional undercutting of the Coconino sandstone. As you can see, there is fresh exposure of the Hermit shell, which would be indicative to a possible landslide that has happened recently. Looking to the left and to the right of the red stripe, we can see large fragments of the Coconino sandstone that have fallen under their weight as the Hermit shell has eroded underneath the Coconino sandstone. Here we can see a good overview of Surprise Canyon as it makes its way down into the lower Colorado drainage basin. Here from top down, we can see all of the formations and layers that are within the Grand Canyon. From top down, we start with the Kaibab Formation, the Toroweap Formation, Coconino Sandstone, Hermit Shale, the Supai Group, Red Wall Limestone, Temple Butte Formation, the Muav Limestone, Bright Angle Shale, and the Tapete Sandstone. At the very bottom reaches of Surprise Canyon, we can see traces of the Grand Canyon Supergroup, which encompasses the Chuar Group, the Nankoweap Formation, and the Unkar Group. This is famous due to the fact that this is the member that is part of the great angular unconformity that is in the area.
With so much geologic history going on in these two areas, it is impossible over the course of a 2-day trip or a short video to learn everything about these two areas. From Pipe Springs to the Grand Canyon, we can learn so much about the things that have gone on in the past in these two areas. We thank you for watching and hope that you have enjoyed learning just a little bit about these two wonderful places.